Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 4.
Good afternoon, and we have two top stories this afternoon to tell you about. First, an all-out assault on a huge fire at a commercial building, flames shooting through the roof, as you can see. A fight made even more difficult by a metal roof and down electrical wires. Our other top story this afternoon, a dramatic rescue. This off Highway 39 in the Angeles National Forest. That's where a sports utility vehicle plunged over the side. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chuck Henry.
And I'm Kim Baldonado. Our first look at the news begins with the rescue. Our Bob Pette is overhead the accident scene in the Angeles National Forest. Bob, what can you show us?
Well, Kim, you know the curved highway up here. That sports utility vehicle carrying a man and a woman somehow lost control on the curves of Highway 39 above the Morris Reservoir and tumbled 200 feet down an almost vertical slope, landing upside down. Now, County Fire got the call about 2:13 this afternoon when the man somehow managed to crawl up that slope until he got to the top and flagged down a passing motorist. The woman was thrown clear. Now, when County Fire got here with their helicopter, they managed to transport the man to Long Beach Memorial Hospital, where his condition is not considered critical. But since he went down that 200-foot slope, they want to make sure. The woman was hoisted out by the Los Angeles County Fire helicopter, and she is still on scene here while they refuel that helicopter. Again, her condition, again, is wonderfully not critical either, and she's going to be transported to Martin Luther King. So a successful rescue, Los Angeles County Fire and the San Dimas search and rescue team on the scene here. A great job. This is Bob Pette, live in News Chopper 4 over the San Gabriel Reservoir in the Angeles National Forest. Chuck, Kim, back to you.
Thanks very much, Bob. And now on to the story about the fire. About 100 firefighters responded to the scene in Westwood today. Heavy smoke pouring out of the windows and from the roof, and the traffic in the area was, of course, jammed, as you might expect. That building is on Sepulveda Boulevard at Ohio Avenue. Ted Chen is still on the scene live. Ted?
Chuck, about 40 people were inside this building in their offices at the time of this fire. Fortunately, everyone got out okay, although one firefighter was hurt trying to fight this blaze, which was a tough one.
We just went around knocking on the doors, trying to find everybody and say, hey, get out of the building.
When firefighters arrived, they knew they would have their hands full. Flames shooting from the roof of this two-story commercial building at 1554 South Sepulveda, the smoke visible from the 405 freeway. As they worked, things got complicated. A power line came down and energized the metal portion of the roof, forcing firefighters to back away until the power was cut.
The fire kept getting bigger because of the energized roof. We had to pull our firefighters out. They made several attacks. We had to rotate companies throughout the fire.
The fire raced around the entire building, nearly gutting the second floor and the attic. It took a small army of fire trucks, some 100 firefighters, and an hour and 45 minutes for firefighters to knock the blaze down. Workers in the building evacuated safely, but one firefighter was taken to the hospital and treated for smoke inhalation. Now, firefighters are still on the scene checking for possible hotspots. There's also some concern about a possible roof collapse. Now, there was some roofing work being done on this building at the time of the fire, but the fire department has not yet revealed a cause. Reporting live from West Los Angeles, Ted Chen, Channel 4 News. Chuck and Kim, back to you.
All right, thank you, Ted. In other news, another armored car holdup in Long Beach today. The armored car security guard was shot in the head and is now fighting for his life. Police are combing the neighborhood for 4 suspects. Laurel Erickson is live at the scene in Long Beach with details. Laurel?
Well, Kim, it happened at 10:18 this morning behind me at the Farmer Merchant Bank here in Long Beach. An amazing story. A gunman apparently disguised, a driver taken by surprise, shot. But this time, police had many witnesses, including a woman looking out from an upstairs window through a telescope. A gunman disguised in a yellow security guard jacket apparently surprised the armored truck driver. The driver was shot several times. The cash from Long Beach Farmer Merchant Bank still under the wheels of the armored truck.
It looked like a movie. I mean, it was just out of nowhere. It just came out of nowhere. And I saw the gunman and saw him run off and stuff. It's like after he had finished shooting, he realized what he did, and like he looked around to see who was watching and just fled the scene.
And
I didn't see him grab no money or anything.
Detectives searched the armored truck for evidence. Bloodhounds and shepherds picked up the smell of robbers and set out after them.
The gunman, he was a black male, bald head, shiny bald head, mustache, about...
Old, young?
Young, I mean, yeah, he was young, about 23, 24.
How was he dressed?
Had a yellow security jacket, black pants.
Police dogs brought back bad news. The gunman got away. But several witnesses provided lots of information, even about the weapon.
A black 9mm handgun. Probably like a Glock.
Was it an automatic?
It was like a square kind. Yeah, automatic. And about like 7 to 8 shots were fired.
And firefighters in the neighborhood tried to provide a miracle for their armored truck driver.
It was due to their quick efforts that if he does survive, it was because of them.
Back here live now in Long Beach, and as Kim Baldonado told you, the man in the truck is still at the hospital. We do not know what his status is. We are told that there may be 3 or 4 suspects, including the gunman described by that witness. Laurel Erickson reporting live from Long Beach. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much, Laurel. An incredibly close call today for the pilot of a small plane in an entire neighborhood in Fresno. Smoke in the cockpit and a blown engine led to this emergency landing on a residential street. The pilot dodging cars and trucks as he finally managed to set the Cessna down. The pilot was soaked by aviation fuel from a ruptured tank, but otherwise he was pretty steady enough to walk around, inspect the plane and the damage.
The tip of the plane hit that car and spun me around, and as it spun me, this wing caught up underneath the Toyota there, and the Toyota actually pulled up and was parked halfway on the wing. That's stopping.
Okay, a pretty good job of flying there. Luckily, no one on the ground was injured.
The latest on the Hector minequake. Aftershocks continue to shake the Morongo Basin today in the wake of Saturday's 7.1 earthquake. One of the largest aftershocks hit early this morning about 5:20. It measured 4.6 and was centered near the Lucerne Valley. That's about 50 miles from Saturday's quake. Here's how it looked on the Channel 4 News Seismocam. Since Saturday, there have been over 30 aftershocks above 4.0 and 3 above magnitude 5.
The County of Los Angeles today gave the green light to a plan to install so-called family restrooms at parks and beaches. The facilities like these are built in other cities. They're going to allow parents to take their children of the opposite sex into the bathroom. 11 of the family bathrooms are being built in the first phase.
We hope that 7 of them will be done by approximately April 2000, and 4 would come later in 2000 and possibly up to a year.
This is a computer-generated prototype of what some of these new county family bathrooms might look like. Some will be entirely new. Others will be converted or expanded to family requirements. They're designed to ensure, among other things, security for children.
The debate turned to numbers today over the future of LA's Belmont Learning Center. Should it be completed or scrapped altogether? David Cruz covered today's meeting and has the latest details.
The Belmont bottom line. How much will it cost to go forward? How much to abandon it? The site stands quiet now, a contrast to the noisy controversy the project still fuels. A state senator Friday calling for a vote by the school district board a broken promise.
You gave your word to members of the state legislature, and we intend to hold you accountable to your word.
A board president and the new district CEO calling the decision for new leadership necessary. And yet, whatever the outcome here, that won't change what the Belmont Commission heard today. The cost of abandoning Belmont and building elsewhere.
We had put a price tag on that option of $342 million.
But commissioners were also asking today, let's say we have to abandon the site. If the soil can be maybe remediated somehow, could we still get the $60 to $65 million the district paid for the land?
The commission still has to issue its final report, which may or may not coincide with numbers heard today. The fact is, Belmont is a first, and some fear not the last.
And there is one final sobering reality. Even if Belmont Learning Complex does proceed, it is still going to be a year and a half before construction can resume. Between now and then, commissioners say there's no way to tell how much more in liabilities they'll face from subcontractors who will have to wait. In Los Angeles, David Cruz, Channel 4 News.
The Belmont Commission's report will be out this week with its final recommendation.
To Northern California now, where firefighters are fighting several dangerous brush fires there, and the battle is far from over. More than 1,200 men and women have joined the fight. This is up near Sacramento. They're using backfires this afternoon in hopes of stopping several fast-moving blazes in their tracks. One of the larger fires has already scorched about 40,000 acres. It's believed that an arsonist may have set this fire.
Meanwhile, here in Southern California, our hot autumn days just keep on coming. Here's Fritz now with your first look at the AccuWeather forecast. Fritz?
Thank you, Kim. It's a light offshore flow, and we're having a sail on 90-plus temperatures. And we may have it for a day or two, especially inland. Let's get a look now at a WeatherNet site. This one out in the Pomona area, one of our newer sites. Emerson Middle School hit a high of 99 just a little while ago, 98 at the moment. Here's the key to this dryness and maybe your discomfort if you have sensitive sinuses. 8% relative humidity, and the lack of humidity is what makes for a 40-degree temperature difference, a 40-degree diurnal. 92 during the day, 52 at night. We never see that in Southern California. We're going to talk more about it when we come back. Stay tuned.
That is pretty amazing. Thanks, Fritz. The post office was showing off its newest stamps today, and if you don't like bugs, well, you may not like these new stamps. That's because they are bugs, spiders, and other creepy crawlies. This traveling exhibit made a stop at a couple of Southland elementary schools. In addition to the stamps, some live and mounted insects from the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles. So kids had a chance to learn about stamps and the insects at the same time. You don't like
No, I'm squirming
insects.
just looking at those.
Really?
Glad I didn't get that assignment. Imagine having to lick the back of that, too, the spider.
You know, some people actually eat things like ants and
Chocolate covered thing. Sounds like a travel cafe to me. Okay, a Halloween prank turns deadly. A teenager is shot and killed by a homeowner. Now new details on this tragic ending live at 4:30.
Don't laugh. We've thought about it. A huge blast rips apart a candy store. One person is killed today. The explosive discovery made by detectives.
Is the new Catholic cathedral strong enough to survive an earthquake? Its secret weapon revealed next.
Also, 9 strangers living under one roof. Their lives exposed nightly on TV. Could you do this? Voyeur TV later at 4.
You're watching the Channel 4 News at 4, honored with the Emmy as Southern California's best newscast.
For the second time in less than 4 weeks, an explosion of illegal fireworks has claimed a life in Mexico. This blast happened last night at a candy store that was selling illegal fireworks. One person was killed, 2 others were hurt. 3 nearby homes were also damaged in that blast. Late last month, a similar accidental explosion of illegal fireworks killed 63 people in Mexico.
No doubt Saturday's Hector mine earthquake was on the minds of a lot of people in downtown Los Angeles today as engineers work to make the new Catholic cathedral downtown earthquake-proof. Conan Nolan was there and is in the newsroom right now with more. Conan?
Hello, Chuck. Well, if there's a major earthquake in downtown Los Angeles, at least there will be a place to pray for the shaking to stop. Cardinal Roger Mahoney today showed off a state-of-the-art means that will keep the prayerful rocking and rolling. The Cathedral of Our Lady of Angels, the new headquarters of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Los Angeles. When it's finished, it will be large enough to hold a congregation of over 3,000 worshipers. A sanctuary for the tired, the poor, and those seeking spiritual help during an earthquake.
They will be able to flock in here and have a shelter and use that for the downtown community and the resident community surrounding the parish.
If the sermons don't move the faithful here, the earth certainly will. But designers of this new cathedral are expecting, even hoping, it will move in an earthquake. That's because they're building it on 200 base isolators, large rubber shock absorbers designed to allow the building to sway in an earthquake.
The base isolated cathedral will withstand without damage the projected so-called the big one of a magnitude 8.3 on the Mojave segment of the transcontinental San Andreas Fault, and the magnitude 7s on the downtown Elysian Park thrust fault structure, the Hollywood, Santa Monica, and Newport Inglewood faults.
But why does a house of God need protection from an act of God?
Earthquakes aren't really an act of God. They're an act of nature as such. And I think if we're going to make God's house beautiful, we might as well make it safe.
Yes, that was Cardinal Roger Mahoney with a cardinal red hard hat. Other buildings with this state-of-the-art isolator include several emergency centers, and it's not just for new buildings. Downtown City Hall is getting a few as well. Chuck, come back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Conan. It's one of the most sensational Southland murder trials. A woman accused of bludgeoning her husband to death. Today, what those who know her are saying about Jeanie Adair.
Also, potential patrol cars. They're put to the test. Go behind the wheel for all the action just ahead.
An herbal drink becomes the center of a drunk driving case. Could it happen to you? Find out.
Martha Stewart hit the jackpot again. Now a billionaire in one day on the stock market. We'll have more today at 4 coming up. It was a not guilty verdict for a young mother of two. Jeanie Adair was acquitted yesterday of ambushing and murdering her husband. Today, that verdict is still the talk of Sylmar, where the couple live. Manny Mendrano went out there this afternoon and can tell us more about how residents feel about this.
And so some very strong, powerful emotions to this verdict, and frankly, we might not yet see the end of this case. That's because the family of victim Robert Adair has hinted that it might pursue a civil litigation against Jeanie Adair.
I believe in my heart that she was guilty of the crime.
Terry Shaw lived next door to the Adairs the day that the murder occurred in 1996. She's followed the high-profile trial closely, and she says that she disagrees with the verdict.
I was shocked. I was really shocked because I believed that she was the perpetrator. I'm very saddened for both parties involved, for the family of Robert, who was a wonderful neighbor and a wonderful human being.
Terry Shaw's townhouse is identical to the former Adair residence. It's in a living room like this that Jeanie Adair claims that a home invasion robber snuck up on her husband, then beat him to death with a baseball bat, leaving his crumpled body next to the front door. Terry Shaw says that the jury didn't get to hear all the evidence.
I believe the jury didn't get to hear a lot of things that they should have heard pertaining to the case. And I start to now, I'm wondering, well, what is our justice system? Are we here for the victim, or are we here for the murderer?
But this neighbor disagrees. He says the criminal justice system worked, and the public simply has to accept that.
I guess she had a fair trial, and the jury of her peers, and I guess they acquitted her, given the evidence, and evidently the prosecution didn't really prepare their case then.
So the system has spoken?
Yes, again.
Now, we're often asked this. There is no double jeopardy issue when you're dealing with a criminal prosecution and there's acquittal, because thereafter one can still pursue civil litigation. O.J. Simpson comes to mind immediately. Okay.
Thanks, Manny.
Thanks, Manny. Well, Marla Maples says she's not staying silent while she's taking on Donald Trump for president.
And we also have an incredible story for you this afternoon. A lost dog on the verge of death is saved by strangers, but his amazing journey doesn't stop there. The storybook ending coming up.
And it's a disease that strikes millions, but now you can fight it off. Beating diabetes, later at 4.
And we'll be checking back with Fritz Coleman. Get the complete forecast coming right up.
We're over the head of scene of breaking news in Montebello. Captain Bob, what can you tell us?
Well, we've got a small plane, apparently a Cessna 152, that's landed in the landfill just west of the Montebello Town Center. Out here in Montebello, just south of the 60 freeway, flipped upside down. According to officials on the scene, the single pilot on board walked away just fine, but this investigation, you can be imagining, will be continuing to find out why this plane had to put down here in this landfill. But the good news is, of course, the pilot is okay. This is Bob Pette, live in News Chopper 4 over Montebello. Kim, Chuck, back to you.
Thank you, Bob. Of course, remember the plane that we saw up in Fresno.
Right.
This one is in much worse condition. And now here's a man who has trouble with his sinuses. How are they doing today?
They're doing slightly better because I'm heavily medicated.
Ah, okay, that's good.
So just stop me if I'm not doing the California weather. All right, outside, folks, a beautiful shot. It's a hot, dry offshore flow, and we'll do a day like this again tomorrow and then start to pull down the temperatures and add some moisture back into our skies. A little bit of an inversion there. Here are the numbers. We had a high today of 92 down on the SC campus, 55 the low last night. At the moment, we're at 88, 15% relative humidity. The pressure is falling this hour. South winds at 8 miles an hour. Almanac stats show 79 and 61 the normal temperatures on the state. 7:02 the sunrise tomorrow morning. Sunset at 6:14. Jose, now a hurricane. There he sits, approaching the Lesser Antilles. Hurricane warnings for Puerto Rico, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, most of the Lesser Antilles. Right now, the center of the storm, about 115 miles east of Dominica. Winds at 75 miles an hour. But there is good news today concerning this storm. The latest computer projection is this thing's going to take a turn toward the north slightly earlier than other storms, maybe spare most of the other Caribbean islands, and if we're really lucky, skim by, closely parallel the east coast of the United States. A collective sigh of relief being breathed in North Carolina, or will, if this thing pans out as the computer suggests it will. That's good news. But a strong hurricane, it still has time to change its mind. Not much change over the next couple of days. Building high pressure inland, a light offshore flow both today and tomorrow. We're going to duplicate today's numbers tomorrow, maybe a degree or two cooler, but you won't notice any difference. And then on Thursday, a trough off the Pacific Northwest coast will force a stronger sea breeze. Coastal folks will benefit from that. From the beach to 15 miles inland, slightly cooler. Inland folks, valley folks, don't look for any cooling that you will feel until the weekend, and not radically cool over the weekend. It's just going to be a hot, dry week. We may just make you feel a little bit better by adding some moisture to our air mass over the weekend. Clear and cool tonight, sunny skies tomorrow, hot and dry conditions, and of course it goes without saying the increased fire danger continues. Overnights, 50s and 60s. 48 degrees in Santa Barbara, 53 in Avalon, 56 in Long Beach, 88 the high there tomorrow. Corona del Mar, 78 degrees. And then we press farther inland. We look at Norwalk overnight, 55, Sherman Oaks, 52, Simi, 51, 87 for a high there tomorrow, 90 here in the San Fernando Valley. And then we look at Idlewild for a 40-degree overnight low, 49 the Inland Empire, 49 in Chino, and 55 in Santa Clarita, 89 in the San Bernardino Valley, Idlewild 75 degrees. And one final look at the deserts, Victorville 41 overnight, 57 in Palm Springs, 30 at Big Bear, 81 at Victorville for a high tomorrow, 93 in the low desert. It's going to be almost the identical forecast from downtown Los Angeles. 90 degrees, that's the peak. Then we start to recuperate, and over the weekend, we'll end up about a degree above normal on Saturday and Sunday, and even more important than that, we'll have a little moisture in the air so it doesn't feel like the planet Venus. We have some fabulous news coming up on the Fritz Report today. Freddie will tell you all about it. See you in a few minutes.
Fritz are in my hand. I possess the winner, the first winner of the Four Corners competition, and later during the Fritz Report, we will announce who these people are, and we will call them tomorrow on the air.
Can you just give us a hint? What direction of the compass?
Edge of their seats.
It would be east.
It's in the northern hemisphere. That's all we can tell you.
That's it.
Ooh, this is good.
There it is. We'll be announcing it in 15 minutes. If that's not enough for you, get ready for a great escape. And speaking of escapes, we'll tell you which baseball star in tonight's game escaped that dangerous car accident.
And Antonio Banderas has a new movie out, but you won't see him. Find out why he's not in front of the camera.
A Halloween prank becomes a case of murder. A teenager is killed. A man behind bars. We'll have the story live as the news continues at 4:30.
You're watching the Southland's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 4:30.
It began as a Halloween prank and ended with gunfire. Now a teenager is dead, a grandfather is behind bars, and a neighborhood is in shock. The question now, was this shooting a tragic accident? Good afternoon once again. I'm Kim Baldonado.
And I'm Chuck Henry. That neighborhood is in Buena Park, and that's where we'll find Vikki Vargas. Vikki?
Chuck, neighbors tell us they did see this white car earlier in the evening, and then it was just about 9 o'clock when the driver stopped in front of this house. There were words exchanged, a single gunshot rang out, and a few hours later, a 17-year-old teenager was dead. Friends say what Brandon Ketstever did was nothing more than teenage mischief, piling 2 other buddies in his car, then reportedly stealing plastic pumpkins off a neighbor's lawn. But police say Pete Solomona didn't see it that way. The 47-year-old grandfather carried his .357 Magnum out to his front yard, where it went off, striking the 17-year-old in the head and killing him.
He had the gun in his hand with it up in the air as his family members were trying to push him back away from the car. And then there was the other two guys that came out of the passenger side of the car were screaming that you just shot my friend.
Those who knew the high school athlete say he was an average student, not a troublemaker.
Pranks are fun, you know, at school everyone does pranks to everybody, you know, freshmen or whatever it is.
He was a prankster, but he never was out to hurt anybody. It was all in fun.
Solomona told police it was an accident, that the revolver discharged on its own. He was among the first to call for help.
I think we all have the right to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves, but there's a balance that you have to exercise some good judgment.
Counselors were called into Kennedy High, where Ketstever also played water polo. Classmates speak of a teen who was generous to all. Back on Coral Bell Way, Solomona's neighbors grieve too.
Unfortunate, because he's a really nice guy. It's kind of sad to see this happen in your own neighborhood.
This afternoon, Solomona is in the Orange County Jail. He's being held on a $250,000 bail. The district attorney's office says it will review the charges and decide what, if any, they will file in the next 2 days. Reporting live from Buena Park, I'm Vikki Vargas. Back to you.
Thank you, Vikki. A new report says America's schools are safe despite a rash of teenage violence this year. 14 students and a teacher died in the April massacre at Columbine. In Jonesboro, Arkansas, 4 students and a teacher were gunned down in a schoolyard. Today in Washington, at a conference called Voices Against Violence, President Clinton listened to teenagers.
I think the root of youth violence is our failure to accept each other's differences.
I guess that the children don't get taught at home and in the way they act.
President Clinton calls this new awareness a call to action. A Northern California man says he can't believe the trouble he's in for driving under the influence of herbal tea. Tei-Fu Ipu Tao was driving home to San Bruno last August when the CHP pulled him over. Pu Tao says he'd been drinking kava tea. That's a popular herbal tea. The FDA says kava tea is safe, but the arresting officer had never heard of it.
He said I was a little bit shaky, you know, and he said that's why we're going to book you for that.
Pu Tao's blood and urine tests came back negative for drugs and alcohol, but the district attorney has neither charged him nor dropped the case, and until it's resolved, Pu Tao's out on unpaid leave from his job driving for Federal Express.
It's a drink they take a lot down in American Samoa and Fiji, a lot in the South Pacific.
Know about it here.
Yeah. Los Angeles County Fairgrounds are playing host this week to an exciting and important law enforcement operation testing patrol cars. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is putting several models through their paces. Rick Chambers in the newsroom now with the story. Rick?
Hello, Chuck. You know, at first you might not think this is a big deal. You just go find a car that you like and you order it. But the LA Sheriff's Department buys 400 at a time, and they have to take a beating and they have to be dependable. So every year, the big automakers are put to the test. Potential police patrol cars are being put through the paces at the fairgrounds in Pomona. This testing is done to determine which car maker will get the LA County Sheriff's Department's considerable business.
Well, we're talking millions of dollars. And then we put a lot of additional equipment on these vehicles. We need a vehicle that's going to serve the needs of the public as well as possible.
To determine that, the cars are run through a whole battery of tests for speed, handling, comfort, to name a few. Ford is on the hot seat this week. Chevy is next.
We want to know that we've got a vehicle that's going to be the safest vehicle out there for the public. We're concerned about public safety as well as, obviously, the safety of the officers operating the vehicles.
The LA Sheriff's Department has the most comprehensive auto testing program in the country, a point not lost on surrounding police agencies.
Gives us a chance to see how they handle and what types of tires they're using and, you know, some of the comments from some of the drivers.
The average police car will last 3 to 4 years and run 100,000 tough miles. These tests assure that the new cars make the grade and taxpayers get their money's worth. A lot of screeching today. Once the decisions are made, the contracts are signed, LA deputies could start seeing new cars just before the Christmas holidays. Kim, back to you.
All right, thanks, Rick. Now here's some new road power of a different kind. It's our first look at brand new Ferraris and Lamborghinis. That was $250,000 worth of cars zipping and zagging around the parking lot at the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim. Other car models also posed for pictures, all promoting the International Auto Show at the Anaheim Convention Center. The show begins tomorrow and runs through Sunday.
They didn't need any test drivers at all. Yeah. Darn, I wish they would have made a call. 44 years after their heroism in the Second World War, the state of California today honored female pioneers of the sky. 3 former women Air Force Service pilots, or WASP as they were called, received plaques today extolling their service that broke the gender barrier.
We realize that we did break ground for those coming up nowadays, and so it is a privilege and an honor.
WASP not only flew over 60 million miles in the World War, but they also trained male pilots. 38 WASPs died in the line of duty. At the time, they were not considered military employees, so they had pay for the cost of their own funeral services, if you can believe that. Gee.
Nice to see them being honored. Yep. Well, here's another great story. A Hawthorne family had given up hope of ever finding their lost, blind, elderly dog. But recently, they went to an adoption fair, and guess what? That's right, their missing pet was there. Doug Kriegel has the amazing story.
People are calling it a miracle that Tuesday, the blind 12-year-old dog somehow ended up home again in El Segundo after being lost for 3.5 months. Her master, John Morrison, said Tuesday just disappeared last July 4th.
I thought they'd just seen another dog that looked like Tuesday, to tell you the truth, and I told them I'd come down anyhow and take a look, and when I went down and I seen her, I went nuts.
Here's where Tuesday ended up, at the animal shelter in Carson, where she was going to be put to sleep. But Tuesday was rescued by this woman, Leela Hemingway, from a group called Noah's Bark. Leela noticed that Tuesday had tumors and got surgery for the old dog.
A dog that's been around for quite a while should not be put to sleep. We wanted to give her an opportunity and a second chance, and that's what Noah's Bark is all about.
Then the miracle happened. 13-year-old Robert Morrison, son of John, spotted his dog Tuesday with Leela at a pet adoption fair.
She started jumping around and stuff.
She knew you?
Yeah.
Even though she's blind?
Yeah, I guess he sensed it.
Robert and his friends are all overjoyed to see Tuesday once again back in the neighborhood. And at home, Tuesday is receiving special home cooking and loving every minute of it. The people involved with saving Tuesday say every dog deserves a chance to live, even an old blind dog like Tuesday. Doug Kriegel, Channel 4 News, El Segundo.
That is one lucky and well-loved dog. And the Morrison family happily agreed to pick up the tab for all of Tuesday's medical work. They said it was well worth it. And sure it was.
The picture was a little deceiving, but I want to assure you Doug was not riding the dog, although it looked like he was riding the dog. Martha Stewart makes $1 billion in a day. Want to know her secret? We'll have it coming up.
And would you do this for $100,000? Live in a house with 8 strangers, your every move watched by millions on TV. Meet the people taking up the challenge next.
Also, we have for you some tricks of the trade, Hollywood magic revealed up close and personal just ahead.
And see what will power you into the future. That's in the Fritz Report.
Marla Maples is speaking out about her relationship with her ex-husband, Donald Trump, and what he has to say, or what she has to say, is not very flattering. The New York Post claims that Maples told a London newspaper that if the Donald is serious about running for the presidency, she will not be silent. She claims that he is ego-driven and obsessive. She claims that Trump was obsessed with her and always running after her. Maples is also quoted as apologizing to Trump's first wife, Ivana, saying that she's really sorry about everything.
Okay. A real-life version of The Truman Show, or EdTV, is drawing a big audience on Dutch TV. With the trend of reality-based TV, don't be surprised if a similar show ends up here. Joe Rico here with details now. Joe?
Let's hope not. 9 volunteers are living together surrounded by cameras and microphones that turn their everyday existence into a soap opera. Be afraid? Be very afraid. The hottest TV show in Holland pulls in 1 million viewers a night. That is, ordinary people who tune in to watch ordinary people doing ordinary things.
We call it our real-life soap, and that's what it is.
This fall, the producers of Big Brother took 9 total strangers, put them in a house, isolated from the outside world, and installed 24 cameras to record their every move for 100 days. They talk, cook, sleep, exercise, and talk some more. All there for all to see every night in prime time.
When I saw the show for the first time, I felt a bit like someone who was sneaking up on someone. So I had the strange feeling.
The creators believe there's a little bit of voyeur in everyone, so they chose 5 men and 4 women. One in his 40s fancies himself a singer. Another is a mother of 4. Then there's the woman with the big tattoo, and the guy with the muscles who was attracted to the Bo Derek lookalike. All playing themselves in this real-life drama in which no one knows what will happen next.
Well, I think people will flip out because people need privacy, people need a world of their own, and this is a world with 24-hour cameras.
But there's also a catch, because this is a game show too, with a fight to the finish. Every few weeks, those inside the house, along with all the viewers, vote to evict one of the contestants. By New Year's Eve, only one person will remain, and that person will win $100,000.
I think it's unethical because people are pressed to betray each other.
Survey says, well, in just a few days, these average, everyday people have become household names in Holland. No one knows what will happen to them once Big Brother stops watching. Back to you.
Go back to their normal, quiet lives, I guess. Thanks, Joe. Martha Stewart is going public. Shares in her company debuted today on Wall Street, and they tripled in value. Shares in Martha Stewart Living Omni Media Incorporated were priced at $18 last night. They quickly shot up to $52 a share before dropping in the mid-$40 range. Stewart Living plans to use the proceeds from the offer to repurchase portions of the media empire currently owned by Time Publishing Ventures.
Happy days. Something you do today could help save a friend's life as part of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Today is Tell a Friend Tuesday. It's a day when friends are supposed to remind other friends to have regular mammograms. In the offices of the American Cancer Society in Orlando, Florida, phone books were used today to reach out to other women. The goal is to reduce the number of breast cancer fatalities by 50% by the year 2015. The experts all agree that early diagnosis is the best defense against almost any kind of cancer.
And we have breaking news right now. We want to go to Captain Bob Pette, who's over the scene of an accident in Bel Air. Captain Bob?
Well, Kim, this is right in the Sepulveda Pass, just south of the Skirball Center in the old Sepulveda. 3 cars have come together, 5 victims being transported, some over to UCLA, some over to Encino Hospital, 3 with serious injuries, 2 with critical, 1 in full arrest. And you can see the damage of these cars here as they tried to use old Sepulveda instead of the 405 freeway. It just points out on the freeways and on surface streets, buckle up, drive safely, practice courtesy, because it'll translate directly into safety. For now, I'm Bob Pette, live at News Chopper 4 over the Sepulveda Pass. Again, Kim, Chuck, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Getting the upper hand on a killer. See how you can put a stop to diabetes next.
Also still ahead, a fire hazard in your kitchen. We have a consumer alert you need to know about.
Plus, Fred will show you if this guy was able to escape from a day of, well, hanging out.
As Fritz and Fred join us now, it is obviously the highlight of all our days.
That's right. Fritz and Fred.
All right. Aren't you happy? Today, you'll see why commuters are breathing easier in one city with bad air pollution problems, folks. But first, a local sport fisherman makes the catch of a lifetime. This 300-pound swordfish is a real catch, caught with a simple line and reel. The pros normally need harpoons to bring in swordfish 1/10 this size. But a lucky LA amateur landed this giant after an hour-long duel in the waters off Mexico. He says he's going after the big swordfish for 17 years. It's like the old man in the sea. What a great story. Now, off to the streets of Beijing, China, where commuters are learning to say, charge her up. These new electric cars are making their debut in a city that's had many problems with air pollution, like our own. The buzz is that their odd shape makes them perfect for zipping through Beijing's narrow alleyways. Toyota and Honda are planning to market models very similar to these in the U.S. very soon. Now to our odd sign of the day. There's your bike rack. However, there's a sign that says, no bikes allowed. That's our metaphysical picture of the day. Thanks to Andrew and Dawn Bowden of Newport Beach for sending that in. Here's the address. Send us your stuff. We'd love to hear from you. Freddie, tell them where we got this card from.
We're very excited.
It's our Far East winner.
That's right, our first Four Corners winner, our Far East winner. It comes to us from Diane and John Myers of Inglisville, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, baby.
They watch us every day between 8 and 10 their time. They enjoy the news reports very, very much. Their phone number is 902...
No.
Okay, but what we will do is we will call Diane and John tomorrow at this time on the air. Is that correct, Fritz? You will handle that?
It's correct. Be home.
Just be certified that they are watching.
That's right. You have to answer the phone to accept our incredible prize package.
Take the phone machine off in that igloo. Put off your salmon fishing. We're calling you tomorrow.
You may not know the Mayflower is Nova Scotia's provincial flower.
Thank you.
A little fun fact. Okay. With the Yankees already set for the World Series, the National League Championship Series continues tonight. Mets and Braves from Atlanta right here on Channel 4. At the top of the hour, the Braves lead the series 3-2. One of the subplots surrounding tonight's game, it's about Braves loudmouth closer John Rocker, who has had a running verbal feud with Mets fans. Rocker has shut them down all season except for Game 4 of this series when the Mets scored the winning run against him. Now check this out. Rocker's Corvette, which was totaled Monday in Atlanta with him behind the wheel. According to reports, just before noon, Rocker swerved to avoid a car that had cut him off, and he slammed into the back of a pickup truck. Fortunately, nobody was injured. Now, Rocker is expected to be available to pitch tonight, but you wonder if a wreck like that will leave him shaken if he's put in a pressure situation. Another wonderful chapter today in the story of Lance Armstrong. At his hometown of Austin, Texas, the Tour de France winner unveiled his brand new Wheaties box. Truly demonstrating his dedication to others, Armstrong held the ceremony in front of several cancer patients. Of course, Armstrong overcame a bout with cancer that almost killed him 3 years ago. Even more amazing, he won the Tour this year, arguably the world's most grueling sports event. Armstrong has worked diligently to fight the disease through his own cancer foundation. Not in New York for a guy who was all tied up. Talking about Michael Griffin, a master stunt artist who was placed in a straitjacket today. And at one point, he was really straightened up a bit, more than was probably necessary. Anyway, through the miracles of editing, we can show you Griffin trying to escape while hanging upside down over the streets of the Big Apple. We can confirm this was not unsafe. Griffin did escape in the end. It's all part of a week-long promotion for daring escapes in this Guinness Book of World Records. Finally, now a programming note, something we are very excited about. Starting Saturday and running after each game of the World Series, we're going to try something new. We hope it works. It's called Instant Replay. It's an interactive game show that's easy to play. All you have to do is watch the World Series and then watch the show. You'll be able to call us on a toll-free line from home. You'll be able to play on the Internet. Great prizes available. Somebody could win $1 million each night.
Wow.
Instant Replay starts Saturday after Game 1 of the World Series.
All sorts of contests going on here.
Okay. Regis thought he was the only one that could give away $1 million. Come on.
We got millions of dollars right here, and that's my final answer.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Well, consumer alert this afternoon for people who own General Electric dishwashers. Several models of GE and Hotpoint dishwashers are being recalled because they might catch on fire. The models contain a faulty switch and were manufactured from April 1983 to January 1989. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says it has recorded about 50 incidents in which the slide melted and ignited fires. Consumers should stop using the dishwashers immediately. Now, the model numbers for those are GSD 500D, GSD 500G, GSD 540, HDA 467, HDA 477, or HDA 487. I know it's a lot of information. You can check our website to get more details, and that is www.nbc4la.com.
Good news for diabetics. A new study reveals a simple way to treat the disease, maybe even prevent it. Dr. Bruce Hensel is here now with the details for your health. Bruce?
Maybe even prevent it. That's the key here. Exercise, even something as simple as walking. The study shows it can help treatment and prevent complications and help some people avoid diabetes altogether. For years, doctors have suggested moderate exercise for diabetics to keep their blood sugar under control. But it was unclear whether exercise would prevent diabetes until now. A new study in the Journal of the American Medical Association looked at the lifestyles and risk of diabetes among 70,000 middle-aged women.
We found both moderate intensity activity, such as walking, and more vigorous form of activity, such as running, can substantially reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes.
Type 2 diabetes is the type that often comes on in midlife. Patients may be able to control the disease with diet and pills, but they eventually may need insulin as well. The study showed that women who walked at a brisk pace for 1 hour a day had only half the risk of diabetes as women who were inactive.
You can walk into a bus station rather than driving. You can take the stairs rather than taking the elevator. You can accumulate substantial amount of physical activity in daily life.
Scientists think the exercise helps the body use its own insulin. And however you do it, simple physical activity may be the key to avoiding diabetes and all its complications. Now, the study focused on women, but the results probably apply to men as well. The exercise worked. Whether the women were overweight or thin could be as easy as walking briskly when you're shopping. Now, you can't use it to prevent type 1 diabetes, but if you use it to prevent type 2, you'll get another benefit, decreased risk of heart disease. Kim, back to you.
Good news there. Thanks, Dr. Bruce. Now it's time to check in with traffic. Here's Steve Truitt.
Kim, thanks so much. We've got a SIG alert now working in Colton. Let's go right to the maps. I-215 northbound connector to the westbound side of the 10. That injury crash closing that transition until further notice. Probably about another half an hour until CHP can open that. A street alert in Long Beach has some confused drivers down there. 3rd Street between Pine and Long Beach Boulevard is completely closed due to police activity. It looks as though they may be closing some other streets in the area. Just be aware that down in the Long Beach area, 3rd Street between Pine and Long Beach Boulevard is shut down for now. I'm Steve Truitt with Metro Traffic. Kim and Chuck, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. Coming up tonight at 11 o'clock, let's find out what's going to happen. Here's Colleen Williams. Colleen?
Hi, Chuck. Coming up tonight at 11, you saw it earlier here live, the rescue of 2 young people after their car plunges off the Angeles Crest Highway. Their story of survival. We'll hear more of that tonight at 11. Plus, a new report confirms what we all find at the gas pump. The price we pay for gas here is higher than the rest of the country. Why? We'll find out tonight at 11. And all the rest of the news. We'll see you then. Chuck and Kim, back to you.
All right, thanks, Colleen. The cast and crew of NBC's hit comedy Third Rock from the Sun are celebrating the taping of their 100th episode. Series stars John Lithgow, Jane Curtin, Kristen Johnston, and French Stewart celebrated last night in Hollywood. The party included the cutting of a very large cake.
It still seems new to me, and I remember thinking, gosh, how will we come up with enough ideas?
Lithgow says the writers are still inspired, and so is the cast. You can watch Third Rock tonight at 8:30 right here on NBC4.
It's science Hollywood style, the special effects magic seen in nearly every movie made today, and you can get an inside look at how it's done at the California Science Center. Today in Exposition Park, we got a special preview of the exhibit, which is called Special Effects 2, and what we saw was true Hollywood magic. There's a 20-foot-long dinosaur from the TV series Dinosaurs, and through the magic of special effects, you can actually ride the dinosaur through Venice Beach. Also, special effects makeup demonstrations like that. And Special Effects 2 is now open. In fact, it's open every day from 10 to 5, and the admission absolutely free.
Another husband and wife team is about to light up the silver screen. Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith are teaming up in the new movie Crazy in Alabama. But only one of them is on screen. The other is behind the camera, directing for the first time.
You must be crazy, Aunt Lucille. All I know is you only got one life, Picho. You can't sit around waiting for your next life to start.
It's the summer of 1965, and Lucille, played by Melanie Griffith, is off to Hollywood to pursue her dreams of becoming a star. Dreams an abusive husband can no longer stand in the way of. It's also the summer her nephew gets a fast education on civil rights in his Alabama town. Those two stories run parallel throughout Crazy in Alabama, which marks the directorial debut of Antonio Banderas, the international superstar who happens to be Griffith's husband. Griffith told Channel 4 News the couple had only one rule at work.
The only thing that we made a pact on doing that now I remember was to not be overly demonstrative physically with each other on the set. To try and maintain, you know, the working place.
Banderas says Crazy in Alabama became an obsession for him after his wife showed him the script. He told us he has an advantage over other directors.
But I don't depend on my career as a director, so every work that I do, I'm not going to be looking for box office. I'm going to be looking for something more personal that is filling in a space in my career that I thought it was empty.
Crazy in Alabama is from the novel of the same name by Mark Childress. Look for it in theaters on Friday.
Now we're going to wind things up this afternoon with some really good news, and that is that Dale Evans is back home now. She had a pacemaker implanted. As you know, she was very ill for a while. She's 86 years old. She was the former wife of, well, she was the wife of Roy Rogers, King of the Cowboys, and Dale Evans was, do you know what it was?
No.
Queen of the West.
Oh, Queen of the West.
Queen
Good
of the
news.
West.
A lot of people were following her, so it's good to hear. Well, that wraps it up for us on the news at 4.
Stay tuned now for the baseball playoff series between the Mets and the Atlanta Braves.